This is a Nexus Special, episode 53, E3 2017, on June 14th, 2017. And now, the beauty, artistry, and art in the art of game making. This Nexus Special is hosted by Ian Arbuck and Andrew Bailey. So, Andrew, are you ready for this thing?
Get off my games!
Are you okay? You sound kind of rather aged there.
Yeah, so it turns out that I'm kind of an old man these days.
Yeah? So,
but I'll get over it.
You don't follow the gaming news every single day of the week anymore?
I mean, I go to PC Gamer like at least twice a night, so
what?
that counts for something, right?
It actually, I think it counts for a lot more than what I do, because ever since we stopped 8-bit, I have hardly kept up with any video game news other than like checking in at E3 time. So this is kind of like my annual pilgrimage back into the world of game news.
And you are welcomed back.
Yay! Thank you. Now, funny thing about this E3 this year is that this is the first E3 that's open to the public. So do you remember back in the day when we used to do like those intros for the E3 episodes where we'd be like, yeah, here we are, and we'd have like the cars in the background.
Like, wait, why is this parking lot empty?
And yeah, so I mean, this is probably the first year that we would have actually been allowed into E3.
Yeah.
But alas.
So, like, I'm not exactly sure how far you go back, but I remember, I think it was maybe 2007 or 2008, like they completely changed the format. Like they pretty much had like all the publisher presentations at like completely different theaters across town, and like the main event hall was like, I'm not exactly sure like how much smaller it was, but it was like in an airplane hangar or something. And like it was, from what I heard from like all the reporters and stuff, it was just a mess getting around. And I think they like sort of revised that the year after, and then the year after that they're like, screw it, we're just going back to the old stuff.
Yeah, of course we're not nowhere near what E3 started off as in like 1995, which was originally for the video game publishers to like shop around their games to actual physical retail stores, you know, to get those orders placed in time for the holiday season. Like, yeah, it is so different from what that is.
Yeah, and even now, you know, E3 is like heavily a marketing based thing.
Yep.
Whereas, you know, things like Penny Arcade is like more about the actual players.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so much of it is just, you know, live streamed online now that I mean, I can't imagine other than actually getting to play demos of the games there at E3. You know, we're not actually missing out on any of the news by not being there.
Yeah, and we're like totally missing out on waiting in line for like 5 hours.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm fine being here at home.
Me too.
All right, let's talk about some of those announcements. Mainly, we're going to be pulling information from the big like press conferences that all of the major companies held before E3, the actual event started. And of course, there's way too much information in there for us to go over it in one podcast episode. So we're just going to hopefully bring the most important information. We're definitely going to skip over anything that's just like they had a new trailer for this game, right, and there wasn't any new information.
And it almost seems like we're going to go in canonical order, like how should I say it? Like in order of the presentations.
Yeah, chronological order.
Yeah.
Yep, because that's the order that I wrote them down in. All right, so EA was the first company up, and they had
A3, same thing.
Actually, most of these companies had like a clever hashtag that somehow incorporated like their company name with E3 and like, you know, fused them together into one hashtag. But yeah, so EA, they started off talking about Battlefield 1. and how it's got some new content that's coming. I think it's going to be probably like a DLC campaign kind of thing, extra maps, mostly based on the Russian front of World War One. And I believe that they've got some more game modes coming in, but they weren't super specific on what those game modes were.
Yeah. I haven't really followed any of the like the big, how should I say, war games, Battlefield, Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, we're going all the way back to World War I and World War II these days, so old is new.
Yeah. So we're going back to where we came from, because didn't Battlefield and Call of Duty were both World War II games initially.
Yep, definitely. Now, esports is not exactly an old thing, but EA has not typically had like a super strong presence in the esports area. Usually when you think of esports, you think of like League of Legends or LoL, like Overwatch, maybe a little bit of Hearthstone. And EA, when they were talking about how they're getting serious about esports and they're going to be making games that can be used as esports, for some reason, all of the games that they were talking about...
Yeah, they chose actual sports games.
Yeah, they were literal sports games. So the one that they were focusing most on, I think, was FIFA. And they're talking about having actual, like, in-person championships for really good FIFA players. Which is so crazy. Like, I feel like we've come full circle there.
Yeah. So then they presented a few sort of indie-styled games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, EA definitely big on the indies, right?
Yeah. I think it was actually in the next one that I think like two of these sort of indie-ish games had very unique art styles to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they were talking about EA Originals, which is their program for like supporting indie developers. I think it was not just monetarily, but also in like promotions and stuff like that. And the one that they showed off didn't really have a super unique art style, but it had a very, very unique gameplay twist. So this was A Way Out from the creator of Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, which, as you may recall, was that game where you were controlling two characters with one controller.
Yeah.
And A Way Out kind of takes the inverse of that idea. You've got two characters in this narrative-based game.
It's more of a split screen required game.
Yep. So both players will always be able to see both characters, on their split screen. The intention, of course, is for you to be playing with somebody like on a couch next to each other, but you can play online with somebody else. But even if you're playing online, you'll still see the split screen.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that game because I'll be starting a live stream, a weekly live stream on my YouTube channel, Disappointingly Dry, where we play a bunch of like narrative-based games. And having a narrative-based game that incorporates the gameplay heavily into the narrative, I think is like a really, really cool thing, and will definitely be good on my channel. Unfortunately,
I'm not exactly watching your YouTube channel right now.
That's all right. I mean, we haven't started any of the gaming stuff yet. So far, it's just been some shorter videos of my sisters trying to explain slang terms to the old man. Let's see. BioWare. Of course, EA would never go an E3 without announcing something for BioWare. They have a new game called Anthem on the horizon, where you are going to be playing as a freelancer, which is like somebody who puts on these specialized mech suits in order to like kind of leave these
walled
colonies, walled cities, to go out into the world and fight like these large monsters.
Yeah, like for a while there, it seemed like there was some kind of aliens going on in there too.
Yeah, maybe.
It wasn't really clear.
Yeah, and it never is very clear on the very first trailer that we see for a game like this.
What a ripoff!
But so that whole walled city, like going out to like fight something concept seems a lot like Destiny. Of course, we've got it seems kind of like Mass Effect in terms of the the technology that's being used in this thing. And of course, it feels a little bit more like Iron Man as well because you're in mech suits.
Yeah,
and not like big mech suits like Hawken, more like kind of skin, like a shell skin kind
like
of suit.
Definitely more like heavy armor kind of thing.
Yep.
But with jetpacks.
Yeah, and I thought it was hilarious that they like were using the jetpacks to sprint around on the map, and there appears to be like infinite sprint in this game. So like apparently these jetpacks never run out of fuel. No big deal.
Yeah, it's only a nuclear reactor on your back, right?
Sure. Now this is a cooperative open world third-person shooter. The trailer only showed 4 people playing at a time, so we're not sure what like the party size is in this game. I'm sure that more details are coming later.
Yeah, it almost looked like an MMO, but it doesn't look like it is. How you can just have people drop in.
I didn't see any dance animations, so
it might be a different kind.
Next up, they talked a little bit about Seed, which is something that I had never heard of before, but apparently it's like this internal team within EA. Seed stands for Search for Extraordinary Experiences Division. And they are apparently like kind of playing around with ways to use AI and incorporating that into like proper AI and incorporating that into games. So they're trying to build systems that like learn and can mimic humans. And yeah, it'll be interesting if we have like computer controlled characters in games that actually like adapt and change over time. Based on how you interact with them, like more so than in a Telltale game, of course. So and so will remember this.
Indeed.
Yeah. And then the thing that everybody was there for with the EA press conference was, of course, Battlefront. So we had, let's see, how long ago did Battlefront come out? The new remake?
The new one, probably 2 or 3 years ago.
2 or 3? Okay, yeah.
Because I remember, doing LAN parties with my friends like over 10 years ago and playing Star Wars Battlefront.
Right, yeah, we're not talking about that one. We're talking about,
although that one was good too.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, so Battlefront 2 is on the horizon now. That's coming out in this fall sometime. And they teased a little bit more about the story in Battlefront 2. That was actually one of the things that held me back from buying Battlefront a couple of years ago, was the fact that there wasn't really any new unique story in it. So I didn't feel the need to go and get it because I wasn't interested in the multiplayer very much. But in Battlefront 2, we are going to have a story that doesn't appear anywhere else. And I'm pretty sure from the trailers that it takes place around episode 6. So the Battle of Endor, kind of that era. Multiplayer, on the other hand, will cover all 3 eras of the Star Wars saga. So that'll be pretty cool. You can, go and have clones versus droids, or rebels versus Empire, or Resistance versus First Order, New Order, First Order. Maybe I need to go and rewatch The Force Awakens. Apparently, yeah. So they showed off some multiplayer stuff, and they told us a little bit about some post-launch content that they assured us will be free.
We'll see.
I think there's a DLC. I'm sure that they didn't mean that all of the post-launch content will be free.
There might be an expansion or something.
Yeah, I think what they specifically said was that there's Finn and Captain Phasma will be like characters that appear in the game in a DLC later on that'll be free. Yeah. So that's EA. Any final thoughts on them?
They're EA. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing their thing. Yeah. Not much has changed there. Next up, Microsoft had their press conference, which they actually literally just called the Xbox briefing, which is, as a PC gamer, a little disheartening. But of course,
at least I need to congratulate Microsoft on keeping it simple.
Sure.
Yeah. Sometimes Microsoft just likes to go overboard in adding words to things.
Yeah, and of course, Microsoft has been pretty clear. Like when they say Xbox, they now mean like all of their gaming stuff, because like their intention is that all PC gaming falls under the Xbox moniker as well. Even though most of us don't use like Xbox Live, we don't use our Xbox account to buy the games that we're playing on PC.
Yeah, to them it just means games.
Yeah. So of course the big news that they actually kind of they got it out of the way early on and then didn't talk about it afterwards, really.
Yeah, this is what everyone's been talking about for like, I don't know, 2 years or something.
Yeah. Project Scorpio now has its official name. It is known as the Xbox One X, which you may notice, if you write all of that out as an acronym, becomes XBOX, which spells out Xbox.
Well, I'm not sure if you could like put the B in there. Because Xbox is just one word.
I don't know. Do you capitalize the B in Xbox? It's kind of a
sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is their new souped up version of the Xbox One.
Back in my day, it was just Xbox.
Well, luckily for you, old is new. We'll talk about that in a moment. So the Xbox One X is coming out on November 7th. It'll be $500, which a lot of people are saying is a mistake. Most consoles don't do well at that price point.
Yeah, like another PS3 level mistake.
Yeah. And of course they did that just so that they could have the title of the most powerful console ever. So here's some of the specs. It's going to have, for the CPU, it has 8 cores. They're all x86 cores of some sort. They're custom ones. And they're clocked at 2.3 gigahertz.
Yeah, I believe those are like the low end AMD cores.
Yep. I'm pretty sure that AMD is still on board with this console.
Yeah.
It has 12 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM. 8 gigabytes of that is for the developers. 4 gigabytes is for the system.
And when you say developers, you mean games?
Yeah. For third-party made apps.
Got it.
The GPU has 40 computing units, clocked at 1,172 megahertz, which seems like very, very few to me. But I mean, I have a graphics card that cost almost as much as this entire console.
Yeah,
at the time that I bought it.
And even the original Xbox One had a very fast GPU, but kind of a narrow one. Whereas the PS4 had a wider but slower GPU, which seemed to be more, or rather, easier to use. Okay,
interesting. And this is, I mean, we've had like the consoles kind of progressively going like 4K. Hey, that's a thing now. 4K. Here's an extra thing that I can do in 4K. The Xbox One X is, it seems like it does everything in 4K at this point, including it can play 4K Blu-rays, which is a first.
But most importantly, it can play 4K games.
Correct. Yes. And actually,
everything else up until this point was like kind of fake 4K games.
Yeah.
But, it could like do 4K Netflix or something, probably.
Right. Yeah. Just video playback, but not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, what they're talking about is also that of course, they know that not everybody has a 4K television, and so to appeal to those of us who are still in the dark ages of 1080p, they were talking about how it can use what they called super sampling, but I'm pretty sure just means like rendering it at 4K and then downscaling to your screen's resolution to like reduce aliasing in the game, which is kind of a brute force way of reducing aliasing, I think, but
definitely
whatever works.
Also a 1 terabyte hard drive.
Yep. And that's actually like so standard at this point. I'm surprised that they didn't go with something a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and no word on whether it's like upgradable or not.
Yeah.
But then again, like all the consoles and stuff have laptop hard drives.
Right. Yeah, they're 2.5-inch drives
rather than the desktop 3.5-inch drives.
And that's fine. I mean, at a small form factor like that, I wouldn't expect them to have a full 3.5-inch
Right.
Yeah. But if you're going to replace your console's hard drive with like a solid state drive, then you're going to have a 2.5-inch one anyway, probably.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
But and then I'm presuming that it's going to support an external drive. So
yeah. I assume that its software is pretty much the same as the current Xbox One.
Yeah.
So anything that supports. Actually, yeah, they did specifically say that all Xbox One games and peripherals are compatible with the Xbox One X. And old is new, backwards compatibility for the original Xbox's games is also coming. And so I'm pretty sure that doesn't mean that they're just going to have these games available like in the digital store to, rebuy and download. But I'm pretty sure that the actual discs that you may have laying around from early 2000s, those will work in the Xbox One X.
Yeah. Although that would be very, very cool if they were downloadable.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did that as well. But that's the proper like physical backwards compatibility is what everybody seems to be looking for.
Yeah, and I read an article that the head of the Xbox division wants to port that to PC as well.
Yes, that would be cool.
Yeah.
And I suppose I don't know how much of it on the Xbox One is emulation. It's probably all emulation, actually, since it's x86. Yeah.
Well, since it's x86, I wouldn't think that there would be too much emulation. If anything, there would probably just be, graphical stuff going on.
Well, no, because like the original Xbox was a PowerPC architecture, right?
No, it was like a Pentium 3 derivative.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the GPU was like essentially a GeForce 3.
Huh.
Yeah.
I learned something new today. So,
also, it has like a vapor chamber type of heatsink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that they called it liquid cooling, but that sounds different than the liquid cooling that I think of.
Yeah, it's one of those marketing terms that lie.
Lies and deceit. Now, here's something that I was not expecting to see at Microsoft's press conference. Assassin's Creed Origins was announced. Not at Ubisoft's press conference, but at Microsoft's.
No, at the Xbox one.
At the Xbox briefing. And when I saw that, I was like, wait, what is Ubisoft going to even talk about? But we'll get to that in a bit. So Assassin's Creed Origins takes place in ancient Egypt. So this is the first time that we're going back even before the timeline. The original Assassin's Creed. Yep. And they said in the trailer that this is like the first group of people who called themselves assassins. So I don't think that they'll be going back in time from here at all
to like the Stone Age or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although, you could say that all of that like Garden Eden stuff kind of, does go back a little ways. They had a bunch of gameplay that, of course, has your classic like climbing around and sneak attacking people as an assassin. But it also like incorporated kind of these like you could use this eagle that flew overhead to like have a top-down view of the area and like tag targets from there.
It seemed like what was that other Stone Age Ubisoft game? It wasn't a Far Cry 1.
Was it the one with all the mechanical dinosaurs?
No.
I
think that was like Horizons or something.
Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. No, I'm not sure what you're talking. Oh, wait. Oh, Far Cry Primal?
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually Decker played that, so we could ask him if that had any crazy eagle gameplay.
maybe it was an owl or something, but yeah, some kind of bird that you could use to like scout and drop bombs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a Far Cry game, huh?
Yeah, and so we'll have to see as time goes on how what things in Assassin's Creed Origins kind of stays the same and what things are different from other Assassin's Creed games. And that is coming out October 27th.
So after what a year hiatus.
Oh, did they not come out with a with an Assassin's Creed this last fall?
No, they didn't.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because I believe the last one was the one in England.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds right. Now here, Minecraft, of course.
Minecraft. Yay.
This is the biggest change that Microsoft has announced for the Minecraft universe since they bought it. And it is quite the change. So multiplayer across all
platforms,
quote unquote, all platforms, is being united under Xbox Live. And the 3 platforms that are not being united under that banner is the PS4 version.
Because Sony are jerks.
Well, yeah. The Wii U. I'm not sure why on that one, because the Switch version of Minecraft is being unified under Xbox Live. And the Java version of Minecraft.
The original one.
Yeah, the classic Minecraft. But, I mean, that doesn't mean that PC gamers are not going to be able to play cross-platform, because the Windows 10 version of Minecraft, which I believe as long as you have an account that, like a Minecraft account that bought the Java version, I think that you have the Windows 10 version. Don't quote me on that, but I think so.
That would be great.
Yeah. And they're also kind of rolling in a bunch of stuff that used to be like kind of adjacent to the game, but you had to like kind of install it or run it separately from the game. A lot of things are being rolled back into the game itself. So this includes like skins, servers. I don't know how community-made mods are going to interact with Minecraft in this new universe that they're building, but yeah, a lot of these things are being rolled back into the game.
Oh yeah, and a super duper graphics pack.
Oh my gosh.
It looks so pretty.
Literally all that I noticed was like, okay, they've got like particle effects on the lighting now.
Well, yeah, like volumetric fog or something.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not exactly. And there's shadows, like true shadows.
Yeah, but they like all of the blocks have the exact same number of like pixels on each side. It's like nothing's changed except for these weird. Like it feels
it's
weird.
Shinier.
It feels weird to see this game that has like really nice volumetric lighting effects, and then like these big blocks with giant pixels.
Yeah, it looks just like the 90s, just like it has.
I'm pretty sure that they, I think that they said that there's a 4K update coming for Minecraft or something like that. And it's like, what? Yeah. If you must, if you really need to slap that 4K label on it, you can do that.
It would probably run extremely fast too.
Yeah. Life is Strange Before the Storm. When this was announced, my fiance Savannah looked up and she immediately called out one of the characters and was like, "Wait, they're still alive?" And I was like, "Hey, wait a minute, I haven't played through it yet. Don't give me spoilers." And it turns out that character is still alive because this is a prequel to Life is Strange. And I guess I haven't played the original, so I don't know who you play as, but apparently you're playing as a different character in the prequel. It is going to be episodic, just like the original, but this one's only going to be 3 episodes. The first episode is coming out on August 31st, 2017. And outside of the game announcements news, I found out that the voice actress who plays one of the main characters, in the original game, was not able to reprise her role in Life is Strange Before the Storm because of the voice actors strike that's been going on for like
a few months now.
Yeah, it's like 200 some days at this point. So that's all. Yeah, that's almost a year. And but she is working on the project as like a writing consultant, specifically for the character that she played. So that's an interesting compromise. And yeah, since this is like an episodic narrative based game, I'm definitely looking forward to playing both of those on my YouTube channel as well.
So then we have Metro Exodus, which is the next game in the Metro series.
Mm-hmm. I think this is the third major one, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, not counting all the Reduxes and whatnot.
Yes. So if you're not familiar with this, it's kind of like how should I say, like a cross. It's sort of like, you know, a post-apocalyptic game where Russia got nuked. So instead of being Fallout, it's, you know, set in Russia, specifically the subway tunnels.
Yep. Although this one, I believe, this kind of takes the player mostly out of the tunnels and into the world above.
Yeah, and although I think it's the original one, 2033, I believe. Even though I have that one, I haven't played it, but I'm aware that like whenever you go above ground, you have like a timer on your gas mask.
Right. Yeah.
So then, like when I was, you know, watching this trailer, it's like, why are you taking it off? Like, aren't you gonna die or something?
Yeah, they had the gas mask on while they were underground, and then they took it off when they went above ground.
I'm like, okay, well, things are green up here, so I guess that's good.
I guess so, yeah. There's still monsters, of course.
There will always be monsters.
Yes. Next up is, this one really caught my attention, actually, The Last Night. And it is kind of like this film noir, kind of futuristic, you know, like neon lights and flying cars, kind of futuristic. But it's like, it's all 8-bit. But
yeah, this is the one I thought had a very, very interesting art style.
Yeah. And it's like, it's 8-bit, but in a way where they like,
it looked a little bit more like a Super Nintendo or 16-bit.
Yeah. Yeah. But like,
there was definitely multiple parallax scrolling going on.
Yep. And like the objects can like have a high degree of like rotation relative to where the camera is, you know, like they made versions of the objects at many different angles.
Yeah.
They can like almost smoothly transition, you know, like a car facing sideways relative to the camera to like facing away from the camera kind of thing. Which, I mean, I can't imagine how much work that took to do all that pixel art. That looks crazy. I have no idea what the gameplay is going to be like in that, or exactly where the story is going to go, but I definitely have my eyes on that one. Let's see. The Artful Escape. Now I have to remember what this one was. I don't remember what this one was about. We wrote it down, but I don't remember much about it from the video.
Yeah, it's very artful, I can tell you that.
Okay. Yep. Good. Ashen. Ashen had like a very simplistic art design, but it still looks gorgeous. It's just very kind of minimalistic. Looks like it had co-op, but we're not sure. And it has lots and lots of enemies, like Dark Souls level of enemies. Yep. Shadow of War, of course. I think Shadow of War made an appearance on most of the major like press conferences that weren't being run by rival publishers.
Which apparently we're not going to go over the PC gamer one, but yeah, I believe Shadow of War was prominently featured in that one as well.
Yep. And I don't think that we really have any new information about Shadow of War because they've been announcing a lot of information over the last few months. But yeah, you'll be like building up your orc army and trying to take territory within Mordor.
Yeah, and then they showed like a brief gameplay clip of you actually going in and like fighting this dude and like getting him on your side. And I'm like, wait, orcs are like this?
Yeah, in the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, you can kind of like take over their minds.
Yeah,
because your character apparently has progressed to the point where he's got so much power that he can just like manipulate their minds into joining him.
Mine.
And the last game that they showed off was Ori and the Will of the Wisps, a follow-up to Ori and the Blind Forest. Very like definitely recognizable in terms of the visual style. Looked like the original one, but a little bit more visually stunning. The soundtrack also sounds very similar to the first, and they actually had like live performance.
The composer was like right there playing piano over the trailer.
Yeah, that was really cool. And of course, Ori and the Blind Forest was very emotionally impactful, so we expect Ori and the Will of the Wisps to mirror that as well. All right, up next, Bethesda.
Pretty much everyone's favorite, maybe.
Yeah, I think out of all of the press conferences, this one had the most games that I was interested in personally.
Yeah, and like the whole presentation of like going through a retro theme park was
that was really creative. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and like if I want to venture a guess, like pretty much when they were doing the Nuka World expansion, that they were like, we might be able to pull this off for E3 as well.
Yep. All right, so they started off talking about a few of their existing games.
Which, again, like the retro styling for their presentation also went with, the retro styling of like a few of their games as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In particular, Fallout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a few of their games are coming to VR. They have a new version of Doom called Doom VFR. And it's going to have, it seems like it has like a teleportation mechanic for movement. When Ian Decker wrote in these notes, he said that it reminds him of the original Metroid Prime games in that you have to stop moving in order to aim.
Like I haven't played either this Doom or Dishonored, but it kind of looked like you were, getting around using Dishonored mechanics a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of, I kind of understand why they would do that in the VR game. Because like the fast paced movement that's typical of a Doom, game might not be so great for, keeping your lunch in your stomach.
Oh, you're not hardcore enough.
Yeah, evidently. I know that they also mentioned, of course, Skyrim is coming to VR. That was a big announcement. By the way, I am consistently amazed at how long Skyrim is having like full support from their publisher.
Yeah, it's been what, 6 years now or so?
It definitely, it came out while I was in college. And it's they're coming out with it for new platforms. It's coming to the Switch.
Yeah,
they're bringing it to
into
a whole new VR, a whole new paradigm.
They ported it into the engine of its next game.
Mm-hmm. And they also support like the modding community. And they are kind of taking another step in that direction. With the formation of the Creation Club, which is like a kind of a storefront for curated mods for both Fallout 4 and Skyrim. And that's, I think, not just on PC, but also on like consoles.
Yeah.
And I think that they mainly did this for the consoles because it's very difficult to like get mods onto a console unless it's like officially supported.
Right.
And of course, because we're going corporate now, I think most of those are going to be paid mods.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly clear, but it seemed to be kind of optional. Mm-hmm. And at least they mentioned this is going to be like all original mods, so like you can't exactly like rip off someone else's mod.
Oh, sure. And I think, I'm all right with it being paid for mods because like they are putting it through some like quality assurance testing, to make sure
that would be great.
Yeah, to make sure that the mods are actually compatible. I've been watching my brother playing a bunch of Civilization 5 with, like umpteen mods installed, and he has to periodically like alt tab out of the game to close a little warning saying like, we could not load such and such font for the game. And then like, after that, there's a bunch of like images that won't load correctly. And, he once accidentally, researched a technology that was from like the information age while it was 1900 BC. So if I making recall, sure that actually work is a good thing.
Which, if I recall, isn't like Civ 5. That's not 64-bit, is it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it might have been like Civ 6 that they mentioned that. But yeah, like it's Civ 5 was kind of on that 4 GB transition or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's talk about another Bethesda game.
Yeah.
Rolling it back into our E3 stuff.
Dishonored.
Holy cow! Did you see this coming?
I knew that they were making another Dishonored, but I think that ended up being Dishonored 2.
Okay, yeah. So this is what they announced was Dishonored: Death of the Outsider, which is they describe it as a standalone DLC adventure. So I guess they have to call it a DLC if they're not going to be putting it in physical storefronts. That's probably what that means. Yeah,
I guess.
For our purposes, it's its own game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be it's kind of similar to like the DLC from the first Dishonored where you were playing as Dodd, because we're going to be following we're going to be playing as Billy Lurk, who's working for Dodd, who is the assassin who took out the Empress at the beginning of the first game. And apparently now our mission is we're going to be taking out the Outsider, which is like I never imagined that any of the characters in this universe were going to be even think that they were going to be able to do that. So this will be very interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah. Then speaking of games that we didn't really anticipate, The Evil Within 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. This pretty much only surfaced, imminently before E3, I think.
Yeah, and I guess the reason that I wasn't expecting The Evil Within is probably because I forgot that The Evil Within existed.
Or was a Bethesda game.
Yeah, that too. Now Wolfenstein. I could never forget about Wolfenstein. They have
another retro game.
Yes, old is new, and we're so far into that theme that we've got another sequel to the reboot.
Yeah, and when they were showing the trailer for this, it really looked like a Fallout game because it was going through the retro shows with rather imaginary high tech kind of bulky technology, and then it zooms out and it shows like a TV and what looks like a vault.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then I'm oh yeah, Wolfenstein.
I figured out it was Wolfenstein as soon as there was a German guy talking. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be as casually destructive as the first one. Hopefully,
just casual destruction.
Yeah, I mean,
not serious.
Just bang bang, shoot. Ask questions later.
Let God figure him out.
Hopefully, the character development takes a few steps forward in this one. I've heard that that Wolfenstein, the remake, did have a really good story, but didn't develop the main character as much as they could have. Yeah, Bethesda. So
yeah, I kind of like the retro styling of the whole presentation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm still working my way through the Fallout 4 DLC. So
yeah. I I wish that I had time to play RPGs, but I make too much of my own media to consume all of that media.
Yeah.
All right. Ubisoft. So given that they announced Assassin's Creed Origins way up in Microsoft's, what do you think that they opened up with on their press conference?
They opened up with their new logo.
Oh yes, that's true. That's very true. And they kind of I like how they had that logo kind of in different color schemes and different materials for all of the different games that they're making.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat. But no, the first thing that they did
was
during
their thing.
Yeah, they invited one of the guys from Nintendo. I don't remember which one it was.
Shigeru Miyamoto.
Was it Miyamoto? Okay, yeah.
It really looked like it. So I pretty much skipped past that part of the presentation.
Yeah, I was listening to it while I was biking, so I did not see his face. But yeah, they had Nintendo on because not only has Ubisoft been one of the major publishers that's consistently been like, supporting Nintendo platforms over the years with like, Just Dance on the Wii and the Wii U, but also like, they had
Zombie U.
Yeah, Zombie U, way back at the launch of the Wii U. They wanted to announce actually a game that they were making in collaboration with Nintendo, based on one of Nintendo's franchises, actually combining a couple of franchises.
The most popular one, of course.
Yes, the most popular, Rabbids.
The other one.
Oh, Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a Mario crossover with Rabbids, which is not something that I think anybody has ever asked for. And I really wonder why they're doing this.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the Rabbids.
Me neither. I can't even tell you like what genre of game the Rabbids games are. But this one is they're making a game that's set in the Mushroom Kingdom, and you're playing as Mario. And the problem that you're facing is that there are all of these Rabbids from some other universe that accidentally came through, and now they're wreaking havoc, as rabbits do. And you have to like, I'm not sure if you're gonna like take them out, or if you're going to like somehow make them so that they're not like, so that they can peacefully live in your world, or what. But anyway, the gameplay looks very similar to XCOM, where you've got like this kind of turn-based, but like in an almost third person over the shoulder kind of view. And I mean, that gameplay sounds really good, but like, I don't think that I would want to listen to the sounds that those rabbits make for any more of my life. I think I've heard enough of it. I can't imagine wanting to play this game. It's like, why did it have to be rabbits? Anyway, yeah, as you can imagine, this game is coming to the Switch, and I'm pretty sure that that's it, because we can't have any Nintendo franchises on any other platforms.
So, and now for a game that might be up more people's harbors.
Hey,
Skull and Bones.
Yeah. So this one is kind of like a spiritual successor to Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag. Actually, it definitely seems a lot like that, because
it's all pirates and stuff.
Yeah, well, not only is it all pirates, but also like the way that you sail around and control your ship as you're sailing looked very, very familiar to me. And it's going to be set in an online shared systemic world, which is quite the mouthful. And I'm not sure exactly. I don't think that means that it's like a full, like, persistent universe open world kind of thing, because what they showed during the press conference was like a 5v5 multiplayer kind of round, and so it seems like it's more round based than actual, like, a world that is persistent. Not sure exactly what gameplay modes are going to be. The one that they showed off had to do with like there was like this merchant convoy going through the area, and your group of like 5 pirate ships spotted them, but there's another group of also 5 pirate ships that also spotted them. So you're competing with this other group to try to get the most loot before like the pirate hunters show up and chase everybody away. And so whoever gets away with the most money comes out on top.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it should be fun. I would definitely have a lot of fun with that, because that is like the whole sailing around on a ship and trying to go after ships that I spot was like the thing that I enjoyed most about Assassin's Creed 4. It wasn't the assassin stuff; it was all of the ships. So I think I'll probably check this one out when it comes out. How about Far Cry?
Yay! America.
Yeah, so I don't think that they actually told us anything new about this game, but in the months leading up to E3, they announced that Far Cry 3 is set in rural Montana, and you're going to be going after like this
cult or something.
Like white nationalist cult that's kind of taken over this town. So
they, in their presentation, they did give some gameplay.
Yeah, and I think this is the first time that we've seen actual gameplay footage from the game. So if you want to see that, go and check it out.
Yeah, it looks like you got a whole bunch of buddies and you're tearing the place up.
Mm-hmm. Have we had co-op in a Far Cry before?
You're asking the wrong person.
Because I know that that's a thing in Far Cry 5, and I think it might be a first for the series.
Yeah, so long as they do another Blood Dragon that's actually good. Although if they would do an Assassin's Creed Blood Dragon, that would be the one everyone's been waiting for.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like Assassin's Creed is a little bit too serious though for something crazy like Blood Dragon, you know?
Well, I mean, was Far Cry kind of serious?
Not really. I mean, you like Far Cry 3, which is kind of the first time that most people started paying attention to the series. Your character ended up like going on drug trips and the original one was kind of nonsensical as well. Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess Blood Dragon just, made it go even more insane. And I think we need to have some fun with Assassin's Creed as well.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Now, they finished off their presentation with something that I don't think that anybody saw this coming.
And yet everyone has been waiting for and pretty much given up hope for.
Yeah, right. Beyond Good and Evil 2. Surprisingly, this is going to be a prequel to the original. We are seeing a lot of prequels this year, aren't we?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Assassin's Creed, we've got Beyond Good and Evil, we've got Life is Strange.
This is sort of been like the last guardian of games. Everyone. This is like, didn't the original come out in like 2000 or something?
Yeah, like maybe 2003 or something like that.
Yeah, and people have been wanting a sequel or some Beyond Good and Evil, game since then. Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how similar this is going to be to the original, because like the original had to do with you were like this journalist who was like running around trying to expose like these bad things that like the alien government was doing, right? Because it's set in a world where like
I've never played the original either. So
so I'm kind of grasping for details that have been buried way back in my mind. But I'm pretty sure that you were a journalist who was like running around trying to document this stuff and like
somehow there was like an anthropomorphic pig somewhere.
Yeah. Well, because it's set like way far in the future, several hundred years in the future. And I think that like the human society has been kind of incorporated into this larger like alien society or something like that. Anyway, Beyond Good and Evil 2, I have no idea exactly how it's going to tie into that. If it's going to give us like a glimpse at what the world was like before like these crazy things started happening with the government like kidnapping people or something. Is that what happened in the first one? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly. Yeah.
But apparently this pig dude is like a treasure hunter or something.
Mm-hmm. That does seem to be what he's doing in that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get a golden idol, but it turns out it's chocolate.
Yep.
How do you feel about that monkey?
A monkey that, does monkey things of jumping around and, taking things everywhere.
Because he seems like he's definitely intended to be kind of this goofy, like comic relief. Yeah. And I feel like he's just on the cusp of being like too much, and I'm not sure if he's going to be annoying or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely,
he's like Claptrap.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would say.
Just so long as he doesn't talk as much as Claptrap does, I think we'll be
fine. Yep. We still have no idea like who the playable character is in this game, because it was just a pre-rendered like CGI trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Moving on to Sony. I think Sony, like, other than so we mentioned that Bethesda had like the really creative way of presenting their press conference as a kind of a tour through a park. Sony, I think, had what looked like the coolest press conference to be at in person, because they incorporated all these like physical things into
pyrotechnics and stuff.
Yeah, like they were sprinkling snow on the audience. During
which for that one I thought it was going to be the God of War presentation, but it wasn't.
They like dangled some fake zombies from the ceiling that like moved around when the zombies on the screen were moving. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, the stuff that they announced, they talked about this new thing that they're coming out with called PlayLink, which is like a series, a collection of games that are designed for your phone to be the controller, which I think is a pretty cool concept. And it actually kind of reminds me of like this kind of tech demo that Google came out with way back in the day, where like you would visit like the same website on everybody's phones. It was like a Chrome experiment kind of thing. And then each person who entered that shared room would use their phone as the controller. But PlayLink seems to be using like the unique pieces of technology that are in phones to enhance the games. So like the one that I saw a video of was like this this game where like, it's like a party game where everybody like takes a picture of themselves and like that's their avatar in the game. And each round is like asking a question of like, who in the group do you think would be most likely to do a certain thing, who's most likely to make out with a bunch of strangers, at like a festival or whatever, something silly like that. And then you pick, which person, and then it shows like the person's picture up there it shows everybody votes. It lets you like draw on like pictures that you take. So I think it should be a good concept specifically for party games. Probably not for single player games so much. I wouldn't really enjoy using my phone as a controller for any single player games that I can think of.
Kids these days.
But yeah, it's like, I don't think that this is going to be something that's going to really like turn around and bite them in the butt, because it's not like they're trying to sell a bunch of peripherals to us, it's just incorporating a piece of technology that most people already have with them at all times, and allowing that to interact with a game that's up on the big screen in the room. Actually, come to think of it, this would be like the perfect kind of thing to bring to some like a platform like Android TV or Apple TV or something like that, because it's definitely it's not like a high performance type thing. We're not trying to render amazing graphics. It's just providing like an interface between the phones and the game itself. Now on to some more conventional games. One of Sony's biggest first party series.
Lara Croft.
No. That's actually, come to think of it, Square Enix didn't have like an E3 press conference. But anyway, yeah, Uncharted. So I guess it's their version of Lara Croft, right?
Yeah. When this trailer started playing, it was like, oh, it's probably Lara Croft, but
nope, not quite. So the next Uncharted game is called Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and it's kind of a spin-off. We're no longer with Nathan Drake, but we've got kind of two main characters, and they don't get along very well. So kind of a very different vibe than the other Uncharted games, where you've got kind of this like witty, almost happy-go-lucky like banter going on. But no, tensions are high in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
As is in Days Gone.
Yeah, so this is a new IP. It's a zombie apocalypse.
Yep.
So yeah, so not breaking any new ground in terms of like the setting. But this is probably the first zombie apocalypse game that you're going to play where you're a biker dude. Oh, it's what I've always been waiting for.
Seriously?
No. Just like a Mario and Rabbids crossover. I don't think that a zombie apocalypse where I'm a biker dude is something that I've ever thought of. Like, oh man, I wish that somebody would make this.
Yeah, you'd be likely to attract the zombies towards you on a bike.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, it's an open world, but it seems like it's got a lot of like stealth stuff, where you're kind of sneaking around and trying to use like elements in the environment to your advantage, so like when they were trying to sneak into this compound, instead of like trying to sneak all the way from the outside to like the middle of it where their friend was being held captive, instead
blow up a dam or something.
Yeah, they went and like blew up the wall that was preventing the zombies from getting into this compound. And
but in the little outpost before then, it's just grab a bear trap.
Yeah. What did they do with that bear trap again?
I think they put it down in the bushes and then throw a rock at it.
Yeah, and trick some other NPCs to walk into it. That's right.
Watch where you step.
Yep. And then, of course, Sony's got their own VR platform. So they were showing off a few games that are coming to PlayStation VR. Skyrim, we already mentioned. A new one called Star Child. I have no idea what the gameplay is going to be like in that, because it seemed like kind of a side-scroller
yeah,
kind of thing where like, and they had themes of like, this like normal human-sized character who's being helped out by like gigantic mechanized things in this scary alien world. There's what appears to be like I'm not sure.
Well, and then are we going on from this?
Yeah.
So if you've ever wanted to fish in Final Fantasy, well, there's a game for you.
Yep. If you couldn't get enough of the fishing in Final Fantasy 15, now you can get an entire VR game that just lets you fish. And it lets you get really big fish. So it's called Monster of the Deep.
I have a feeling that some very serious kind of gamers will love this.
Oh man. I don't know. I don't know if I can take it seriously. Does it even tie into the wider game itself? Do you get like bonuses for performing well in this VR fishing simulator?
Maybe.
I don't know. Another original is The Inpatient. So this seems like it's a psychological thriller where you're a patient at a psych ward, evidently, and we'll see where it goes.
Kind of retro.
Yeah, kind of like. I feel like somebody's going to try to give me a lobotomy or something like that. Like that. That's how old this like setting.
Early 20th century.
Yeah. There is what appears to be like a cover-based shooter called Bravo Team. It's another VR game. By the way, watching like guns being shot in VR looks so silly.
Yeah, but then again, like I've heard that it's like kind of more intuitive, that you can actually visualize
right.
What it's pointing at.
Yep. I've just been like so trained to like have this 16:9 field of view where the gun
crosshair in the middle.
Yeah, crosshair in the middle, and the gun is sticking up kind of from like the bottom right-hand corner, but not too far because you still need to be able to see everything that's in the world. But then, you've got this game that's in VR where like when you're shooting, you've got like the gun right in front of your face and you can't see anything else. And then like the gun shoots and it kind of like it jumps around because the gun has kick and everything, So I guess it's more realistic, but it looks silly to me.
Have you ever played Modern Warfare in I forget what exactly it's called. It's like kind of a maybe hardcore mode, I think.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, when I was in college, the people who liked to play Call of Duty would play Call of Duty 4 multiplayer with this hardcore mode on, and pretty much eliminated every kind of UI element on the screen. So like no crosshair, which kind of messed me up like a lot because I had just got a 24-inch monitor at the time.
Okay.
So like, I would point the gun and start shooting only to realize, oh, that's like 2 inches to the left of what I thought was center.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'd have to like readjust. And by the time I did that, I was dead.
Yeah. And if you really wanted to get around that, you could like put a little piece of tape or something right in the middle of your monitor.
Yeah, but then I just like would have to put tape on like a monitor that I spent $400 for.
Yeah, you'll have to get over it someday.
I guess.
Next up is Moss, which seemed to be like this kind of adorable indie game where you are. It didn't seem like you were directly playing as the mouse, who's the main character, but you are like trying to manipulate the world around the mouse to allow it to solve these puzzles to progress through this kind of almost platformer, but not quite. And I guess it kind of seemed like what's that book series called where you've got like those warrior mice?
I don't watch TV.
Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of the vibe that I was getting from it.
It has a very cutesy art style.
Yeah. This adorable little mouse with who's like carrying around a rapier and helping it to survive, I guess.
Watch out for the cat.
You mentioned God of War.
Yeah.
Guys, they announced a new one. So what's up with this one?
So it essentially expands on the fact that Kratos is a dad, and going through the various parts of Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm.
So I forget what, like the snake. Like there's a huge snake at the end.
Yeah, Nidhogg or Nidhogger or something, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the snake that chews at the roots of the world tree.
Yeah, and like apparently the guy's kid says like apparently he wants to help us or something.
Right.
Which I can imagine Kratos, not having any of that.
Why now? Do you know anything about like the story of Kratos' kid? Like, why does the kid understand the snake?
I don't know anything about him.
Okay, because
you kind of get that, feeling from the trailer, like Kratos is actually asking his kid, like, what is he trying to say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also noticed that the kid kind of had like the same haircut as like the kid in the Vikings History Channel show. I know that you don't watch TV. But it almost makes me think that like Kratos had a kid with some like Norse goddess or something like that. I don't know. And so we're like, so that's why he's traveling around in this like Norse mythology setting now. I don't know.
Probably because he killed all the Greeks.
Yeah, sure. He does seem to be into that, into the whole killing thing. Oh man, this next one really caught my attention. Detroit Become Human. So the story here is that we have a bunch of like AIs that and bodies that we have built. Yes, called androids in this setting, and some of them seem to have developed self-awareness, and they are not okay with being used as just mechanical slaves. And so they're like leading an android revolution. And there's like, a lot of decisions that you'll make as the main character here, the main character being one of the androids. And
apparently you can like jump back in time and change a decision.
Yeah. So most of them seem to be kind of like violence versus pacifism kind of things. Hopefully it gets a little bit more nuanced than that, but yeah, I'm super into the whole like what's going to happen when we hit the technological singularity, and so eating up as many like different media portrayals of that event is exactly what I want to do.
But then there's just fun.
Well, yeah. And what can be more fun than Spider-Man?
So the trailer that they put up is kind of just that, everything Spider-Man, slinging webs across, buildings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the bad guy really doesn't care about, property damage and just,
not.
Dinging up everything.
This is New York City in the Marvel Universe, It gets destroyed one day and then it's rebuilt the next somehow.
Kind of like Tokyo in Godzilla.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, new Spider-Man game. Woo, cool. They did. Oh, one tidbit from the trailer is they right at the end they showed Miles Morales, who is the the character who's the ultimate Spider-Man in like currently in the comics. So I'm not sure how that's going to play into things where we have like Spider-Man and then there's the other Spider-Man. I don't know what's going on. I thought that
that's like too meta.
I thought that they were in different universes, but yeah, who knows? Last up is Nintendo. And of course, Nintendo actually literally just had like one of their Nintendo Direct videos last week. So they didn't have a whole lot of stuff to show us for their press conference. It was only 25 minutes long.
And I didn't bother watching it.
Yeah, but here's the things that they told us. One, they do have a core Pokemon game in development for the Switch. So it's good to get that out of the way because I'm sure that that's what a lot of people are waiting for to buy at the Switch. There's a Kirby game coming to the Switch. There's a Yoshi game coming to the Switch. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is coming to the Switch. Fire Emblem Warriors is coming to the Switch. There's going to be a new DLC for Breath of the Wild. And I think they had some more details on that, but I did not read into it. And Rocket League is coming to the Switch. There you go.
So I think it was like in the Bethesda presentation that they had. I think it's just going to, presumably, it's probably just going to be on Skyrim on Switch. That apparently there was like a Zelda mod.
Oh yeah. There's some Legend of Zelda like items, and I think you can like put on a Link skin or something like that.
Yeah,
while you're playing Skyrim. Yep. Yeah, it's good. Nintendo is doing a lot of like kind of crossover work with other publishers that is very unusual for them.
Yeah.
And I'm totally down with this.
You know, everyone is, at least like all the fan fiction stuff, is just crossovers galore.
Yeah. And I mean, like the last crossover thing that I was aware of in Skyrim was like this kind of more subtle, item in the game called like the notched pickaxe that was just like a reference to Minecraft. And
then there was the what was it? The one with the space core.
In Skyrim?
Yeah,
space core.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like the first mod or something that had the space core from Portal 2.
Okay, so but this wasn't in the core game; it was in a mod.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Although I think wasn't Nolan North the voice actor for the Space Corps?
Was he?
I think he was.
That
because they had the same voice actor record the lines for the Space Corps in the Skyrim mod.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was pretty sweet.
Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Nolan North.
Yeah, he was pretty much in every notable game. So
for quite a few years.
Yeah, you could check Skyrim off for that.
He was also the Fact Core, the Adventure Core, and the Defective Turrets. Makes perfect sense. All right. So, what did you think of E3 this year, Andrew?
It was an E3 with E3 stuff. So, I guess it's not a disappointment.
Yeah. Do you think you would ever want to go to an E3 in person now that it's a publicly available event?
Considering that I want to stay away from crowds in general, no.
Very fair. Yeah, I don't think...
And like spending, hours in line to play a game for 10 minutes?
Yeah, not to mention
exactly my thing.
Not to mention how much the tickets are, I'm sure, and...
Oh, yeah.
And getting out to LA.
Yeah, and in the fact that, let's see, actually no, I'm not sure how fast the tickets for E3 sold out.
I'm sure it was very fast.
Maybe, but I forget what exactly, what event. It was maybe 2 months ago that I heard some tickets selling out. I'm not sure if it was for E3, but yeah, it should probably sell out within an hour or so.
Yeah, but E3 continues to be the place where most of our dear beloved companies announce their biggest things for the years ahead. So yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been a fun one. If you want to see the show notes for this episode, links to any of the actual videos that we talked about, go to thenexus.tv/ns53. If you would like to give us feedback on this episode or start a discussion on it, you can look us up on Twitter as the Nexus TV or email us at thenexustv@gmail.com. I have been Ian R. Buck. You can find me on Twitter as Ian R. Buck.
And I'm Andrew Bailey, and you can find me on this podcasting network and also on Steam.
There you go. Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good one.